Hi everyone, welcome to the StakeRocketPool University Group Governance. Cool, bit of a long-winded title. My
Woo!
name is Izzy, and I was at Northeastern University, co-head of governance for them. I'm here with Kent and Ben. If you guys want to do a quick intro of yourselves.
GM
My,
KentPhilly.
my name is Ben. I go to the University of Cincinnati, and I'm the new treasurer for the crypto club. So that's pretty cool.
Congrats on that, Ben. Sorry to cut you off. I've learned in sales, you just got to step up and jump right in. But I pseudo represent Miami of Ohio, and we also have tried to get other universities involved, but without funding. This is all donated time by everyone here, which is greatly appreciated. We recently had Vanderbilt show interest, and that's Anchor DAO. So we're really excited to have them on the next call. And that's all I have as of today, I guess for now.
Cool. So our main topic of discussion today is this proposal, it's number 27, and it is basically about the Rocket Split Fund. So what happened timeline-wise is that a project was submitted to the Rocket Pool Grants Committee, called Rocket Split. And a grant application was submitted twice. First time in April, and then the second time in July, I believe. And their application was turned down twice. And when I was reading it, I was a little confused as to why it was turned down. I didn't think it was totally clear. There was some back and forth in Discord, um, but there wasn't a lot of feedback on the actual like grant results post. Anyway, so this project, Rocket Split, is coming up for an appeal this week, to actually reverse those two previous decisions and fund the project. So as for the reason why we're taking this reverse and why the grant was denied the first two times, I think Ben is in a great position to kind of clear that up, from a more technical point of view. That's the overall gist.
Yeah. So originally, at least in July, the GMC explained that they thought that the team was working on things that would make Rocket Split obsolete. And so Rocket Split is basically, for right now, it's a front end that allows two people to come together and create a marriage smart contract, which allows them to one person to supply the ETH needed to run a Rocket Pool node and one person to put up the RPL collateral to run that same node. And it creates a smart contract for them that they're able to put as the withdrawal address of their node. And this allows them to determine between themselves the division between how much of the rewards will be split in between them. And this helps people just without any technical knowledge come together and put up both sides of a Rocket Pool node and be able to easily manage how the split works. And so originally, the GMC said that core team changes were going to make this obsolete. And some of the things that we realized later weren't actually going to make it all that obsolete, but at the time kind of seemed like it, were that the core dev team was going to put in multiple withdrawal requests, allowing you to move around and get a withdrawal request for like your ETH stake, for your RPL stake, and for ETH rewards. But that doesn't really, we don't want to send all of one reward to each individual person. We're trying to bring them together and then split them again. So that kind of doesn't help like break the marriage contract idea. There's also the idea of having multiple mega pools per node, and that doesn't ruin the smart contract at all. You might even have to make more, but I think you could just send it to the same smart contract and it should work just fine. So this doesn't really make that obsolete either. So now that we've learn more about what the core dev team is doing, it doesn't really make sense to deny the Rocket Split funding on the grounds of the core team making it obsolete. So now they're appealing for their funding, and they're getting there. I think the RPL amount has changed, but it's just been changed to reflect what the price of RPL was at the time. So the payout is still 19,000 USD, but the RPL amounts has changed as the markets have shifted.
Great summary. And I agree, it can be confusing. The community is very intelligent individuals who have a lot of tribal knowledge. So thanks for that breakdown. To me, $20,000 to be spent on helpful software that can be used by anybody to either, limit their exposure just to Ethereum or RPL is beneficial. So I'm really glad that this was re-ratified and is being pushed through. It doesn't look like it is a real clear winner yet, with a 57.54% for and a 41.84% abstain, which doesn't mean anything. It just means they're not considered today. Nothing really against it. So I'm in favor of this as a StakeRocketPool investor, wanting more open source code available so Rocket Pool can be further integrated into the Ethereum ultrasound money ecosystem. So that's my 2 cents.
That's interesting that there's so many abstain votes, I feel like. Yeah, I'm definitely in favor as well. Just to expand the possibilities and composability for node operators. Another thing I also thought was interesting, somebody commented in the forum claiming that they're kind of the most anti-appeal person in the PDAO, but even in this case, they agree that this is a good use of an appeal. So I think just like for more broader decentralized governance, like it's not about getting it right the first time, and communities can go back on their decisions or go back to topics that they've already voted on, just as long as the reasoning is out there in public and everyone's got access to the information. And there's nothing wrong with bringing up subjects or grants or whatever it is for a second or third vote.
I agree. It doesn't just keep trying and listening to the community is what you're saying. So we're both in agreement of that. Anything else from you, RegexBuster?
I know a couple of the bigger abstainers were Romana themselves, who is the beneficiary of the GMC grant. So they're all abstaining for obvious reasons. They're not allowed to vote on their own proposal. And some of the other bigger voters were just there to help quorum, which is why they're voting abstain. But they never really seen the value in, or not necessarily value, but they're a little wavering on how easy this marriage smart contract kind of thing should be made. So that's a little bit of justification for why there's so many abstain voting. But otherwise, I think it's a good proposal. I think it should go through.
Well, it's cool. You can see what everybody has determined. The votes are public, which is nice. That you can make it private now with zero knowledge tech, but I'm glad that it's public because that is their role to be transparent. And so it seems like all of us are in favor, and that's what StakeRocketPool will do on chain, and then we'll pass that over to this one for RocketPool. We know there are requests from the community for feedback before votes get to Snapshot. And so I want to let it be known we know of that and want to pass it over. Ben, if there's any other topics that you've thought about recently in the Rocket Pool community that could be improved or you want to talk about, and open the floor up to either of you before we close it out for today.
I think mostly I have no qualms. I think everything's running pretty well. I really actually like this proposal. Just in general, I like when you're able to show that like the little minuscule things inside of your governments are actually working. So this is something that you might read and skip over, like, oh, this won't happen, or like this very rarely ever happens. But it's now a good example of being like, hey, we do actually follow our governance. There is actual like proof that we're like going and following this. There are appeals process. It's not just a centralized, okay, we're funding this, we're funding that. No, we have a process to decentralize it when there's something that you feel is unjust.
Yeah, I second that. I don't really have anything else to add.
Cool. Well, that's it from us here on September 1st, 2023. Please share feedback with any of us directly on Twitter. They'll all be tagged, or the StakeRocketPool channel. We're looking to see how we can be more helpful. We know that like LEB4s are on the discussion board, and there's a lot more coming, even with new tokenomics. So we know there are some really intelligent individuals we have now in this community who want to participate in governance. So excited to bring them here. And thanks so much, Izzy and Ben, for your thoughts shared with the community. Ciao.
Wow.